All right, so welcome to the first episode of Pure Honesty. This is going to be a show talking about a lot of like our career goals and how to get started in it. Going to be pretty much starting from the beginning. We have four of us here to talk about our experiences and making our own careers. A lot of us are self-starters. So the topic of today is going to be starting out from the beginning. Mainly coming from in high school, from the ages like say 16 to 20. That's about the age people are starting to figure themselves out. Some don't, and that's okay. But it's mainly talking about that process of finding the skill sets you want to learn and how to get to that from your high school years all the way up to beginning years of college. So my name is Taya. I'm a video editor. And then with me over here, we also have Michael Anthony. So if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey, Michael. I go by Bean sometimes, so don't be surprised.
All right. And then over here, we have Eric. If you want to introduce yourself.
Eric.
Thank you, Eric. All right, that's Eric for everyone. All right, and then right here we also have Doug.
Uh, hey guys, my name is Doug, and I'm a freelancer. I own my own business, and I do a lot of website design, and I do a lot of graphic design as well. So we will be pretty much discussing the whole topic of business side and also career path and life experience. So going back to Taya.
Yeah, so to start the conversation up, basically we all go through those points where we want to figure out like what kind of career we want to get to. Some people are better off, like let's say sometimes people from like maybe freshman year of college, they already know what they want to do. Sometimes people even go into college not knowing what they want to do, and all of that's okay. Going to be pretty much talking about our own personal experiences from it all. Like for me personally, I came right out of high school. I already knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do things in film, and sometimes you don't even have to specifically know what you want to do. Like out of high school, I knew I loved working with the camera. Like I had a film class. It was kind of a shitty film class, so it didn't really help me that much, but it did show me that I enjoyed working with film. However, I didn't quite know like what specific area I wanted to be. Like, oh, do I want to be a director? Do I want to be a camera person? Do I want to be an editor? So usually by the ages of around 16 to 20, that's when you experiment a lot. And so I was lucky enough to know what I wanted to do pretty early on. But I've also known plenty of people who are even in college and didn't even know what they want to do. Some of you might have even gone into college with like undecided majors and you're still trying to figure yourselves out. And that's okay. Give yourself time for that. And if you still feel like you can't figure it out by like your third year of college, that's also okay. I've known plenty of people who have also taken breaks from that too. Because how I started off, right out of high school, I went to community college. I wanted to go to university from the get-go. It didn't quite happen though. I got accepted into some, but like the ones I really wanted to get into, didn't quite get into them. So my answer to that was to just take a little chill period. Went to go to my community college, and that ended up being the best decision for me personally, because being at community college allowed me to be really flexible in what I wanted to do. Because if I went to a university straight up, I would have to be in a dorm. I didn't have a car at the time, couldn't drive either. I would have been stuck in those little areas, and pretty much all my time had to be dedicated to school. However, still being back at home at community college, I was still able to have a little bit of freedom. Like I could afford like maybe a part-time job on the side, or just other like extracurricular activities for myself, and that ended up being very valuable to me. The first thing I did right out of college, I hated being at community college. I hated everything about it, mainly because I wanted to pursue a film major, but my community college didn't quite have any of the tools for that career there. Like they had some classes, but it was a really shitty program, so I didn't really have much to further my career in that. And I already had goals for myself, and I was really eager to start working on my career. So I had that motivation, and motivation's very, very important. And it was one of the reasons why I was able to get as far as I did. So one day, me and Bean over here, we first started going to this little office. We went to these little video game tournaments over there, just like a little side thing. And then all of those events were organized on Facebook. And we saw an event for that office for a job fair. And job fairs can be very important. There are job fairs that are very specific for the fields you want to get into. So places like Facebook are very good for finding those. Funny thing is, we never ended up going to that job fair. Well, we did, but there was no job fair. So, fast forward, me and Bean, we went over to the office where they had the job fair, and went to the exact time. It was at 8 o'clock. Went there. Entire office was pitch black. Everything was dark. It was also a little shady. We didn't feel very safe over there. And so Michael, he noticed on the side of the window there was a little light in there, and he knocked on it because there was someone in there, which ended up being Doug over here. And so he opened the door for us, and then I asked him, I was like, "Hey, is this where the job fair thing is?" And I showed him like the thing on my phone. He's like, "Oh yeah, that we're not doing that anymore. Just no one bothered to take the event down. So you guys can come in anyway." So it was during that time Doug was able to give us little interviews on the spot because he needed a little bit of help, and he was willing to teach us. So a situation like this ended up getting me and Michael an internship position with Doug, who's a graphic designer. Michael's also a graphic designer. I'm also more of a video editing person, but he was also able to help me with that out as well. So, main point of this little story right here, this was a very lucky scenario, but that's kind of what you need a little bit when you're getting your career started. Luck is what's going to initiate things for you, and talent is what's going to keep you in. There's a saying I like to go by is that luck opens the door, but talent keeps you in. So it's kind of hard to create these situations on your own. So if you feel like you're applying for jobs or internships where you're not really getting anything, don't worry about it. Especially if you're in something like an art field, it's going to take some luck. But as soon as you get that one little opportunity and you capitalize on it well and you have the skills for it, you will go far with it. Like, even then with me and Michael, we were starting out, like, our skills weren't that impressive at the time, but we were also lucky enough to have someone like Doug because he's also willing to teach us. Like, our internship, it wasn't paid or anything from the get-go, but if you see an unpaid internship, don't worry about it. Like, don't be scared of unpaid internships, because a lot of times the experience is what's going to be valuable for you. Obviously, take into account if that time investment is really worth it for what you're learning out of it, but if you are gaining something from it, definitely capitalize on unpaid internships, because for one thing, it's very, very hard to get an entry-level position in any kind of field in general. So not only can you get a learning experience from it, but you can also get that stuff on your resume, which can also be very helpful. So if you feel like you're in an unpaid internship and they're taking advantage of you, that's a different story. But me and Michael, we were learning a lot from Doug here. And fast forward like 2 years later, we were only being paid maybe based on commission, but we learned a lot from Doug. Like, I'm sure Doug can even, like, he's the one that's more experienced in graphic design, but he can personally vouch for Michael's growth from like the 2 years. Actually, I think it's been more like 3 years at this point.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been quite a while now. It's going to third year.
Yeah.
It started in November, right?
It was October or November of like 2017 or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
So it's been a long route.
Yeah.
So I mean, I see how you guys pretty much grew from absolutely like you didn't know anything
Mm-hmm.
from knowing a lot more
Mm-hmm.
and going into the field that you guys want, right? And that's what I feel like it's very tough for people to get into that route
Mm-hmm.
or experience
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people, I feel like a lot of time they just scared of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I like the overall, I feel like many of us, I feel like the fear is what stopping us from going forward.
Exactly, because they're.
So
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. So what I feel as like what you and Michael, what you guys did is you guys took a step forward
Mm-hmm.
and you guys willing to take the risk to learn from
Mhm.
me. And I feel like that's kind of valuable to you guys because I'm not trying to like rip you guys off. I'm not doing any of that. I'm actually
Mhm.
want to teach you guys.
Mhm.
I want you guys to be successful too,
Mhm.
right? And I know overall, I see the progress that you guys actually made. Like, it was tremendous,
Mhm.
right? like overall, you guys learn how to do like program that you guys never used before. You guys
Yeah.
end up pretty much perfecting it over the
Yeah.
years, right?
Hmm.
And I went through pretty much a 6 year college
Hmm.
to get my degree,
Hmm.
and pretty much now I don't know if I'm exactly using it well,
Yeah.
but I have a okay. So pretty much I have a graphic design degree,
Hmm.
BFA,
Hmm.
but what I feel like I'm more of an entrepreneur. I just like to explore. I like to learn new stuff. I
Hmm.
learn new skill set, right?
Hmm.
And that's why I kind of want to set you guys in there,
Hmm.
so then you guys could have like all the skill set that you guys need to apply to the real world.
Hmm.
Like I feel like that's something that not everyone would teach you.
Hmm.
Like even in school, it didn't even teach me that at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's something that you'll also notice. Like, this is more dependent on like an art field. When it comes to college, in that regard, you will improve your skill set during that time, but not as much as you would think. You will definitely have to supplement your own learning time on top of that, and especially since I didn't really have the resources to like better my skills in like a film industry, being with someone like Doug, even an unpaid internship was very beneficial. And even by the end of like the 2 year mark with me and Michael, we were only being paid on like commission by that time, so it wasn't necessarily consistent income, but that wasn't the important part. What was able to help me, like, not only was I able to put like 2 years of experience working with this graphic design company on my resume, I eventually got another lucky break. um, I I had a connection from the community college I went to, and I had a friend there that already worked at this place. It's called a trailer house. It's an office that pretty much focuses entirely on making movie trailers. Um, and so one day he messaged me saying, "Hey, my company's looking for some more help. It's like I know you do like film work. Like, would you like me to recommend you?" So I said, "Yeah, of course, yes. Like, I'm definitely going to jump on this because even during the time I was trying to send out some resumes to a lot of different other companies for other video jobs, none of them landed. Also, don't worry if that happens. It's a numbers game, and it's also a lot of luck. And this is the lucky opportunity that I really needed to take advantage of because I didn't know if this is ever going to happen again." Um, so he was able to get me an interview at the place, and so I went over, and then I interviewed over there, and I didn't. Most of the other people in the department I was interviewing for, it was an entry level position. Most people in there already kind of had their degrees and everything, so I really needed to supplement something for that. Um, so in my interview, the things that I stressed out a lot was that I did a lot of work on my own because I knew if they wanted me, I needed to really make up for not having a degree. So I pointed out all the experience I had with Doug and how that was like a thing that I was doing on my own. I was doing a lot of work on my own too, because they like to see that, and even like part time jobs too. They'll even ask for like little skills, like even like weird shitty jobs. There are things you can sprinkle in there to like up your game when it comes to interviews. Like I used to work at like an escape room. Has nothing to do with video editing or video production or making movie trailers or anything. But there was a lot of teamwork also involved there too, so I had to stress all those skills there as well. So I had to be very, very strategic going into this interview. I couldn't just go in and say, "Yeah, this is all the work I did, hire me," or whatever. No, you really like have to think about it because I already kind of knew what they were looking for, and 2 weeks later, I got the job, and I was thrilled from it. And what I ended up learning months later after that interview, my boss told me the main reason they hired me was because I was able to stress that I did a lot of work on my own. Because like if I don't have a degree, I gotta have something to prove. So having that experience with Doug ended up getting me a full-time job working with movie trailers and everything. So definitely seizing little opportunities like that can go really, really far, and be very, very strategic with your interviews, especially if you don't have a degree. You got to make up for it.
Yeah, you can bring it to Michael, how he started, right?
Yeah.
He didn't know Illustrator at all.
Mhm.
And what he showed me as a portfolio, it was
A comic.
Yeah, you want to talk about that,
that
Michael?
was a kitchen.
Uh huh.
When I came in, I didn't have a resume. I didn't have a portfolio. I had a resume, but it wasn't really relevant to
Mhm.
graphic design because I didn't have any experience in graphic design as a profession, as an internship or anything. So I showed him a comic that I had been working on in high school that could have been better, but it definitely is not the type of thing that would, I would say, get you a job in a lot of places.
Mhm.
So it's important to be prepared. And
Mhm.
I was lucky that Doug was willing to accept us in despite my lack of preparedness.
Mhm.
And I'm ever since I've become part of, ever since Doug's taken us under his wing, I've improved drastically since my artistic ability, my understanding of anatomy, my graphic design skills, my understanding of color and everything. All those things I was able to learn when being trained by Doug. It was very stressful and frustrating, which is something that you have to be willing to put up with if you're trying to improve in any area, because the end result will usually be that you come out better as long as you keep trying, experimenting, and putting in different things into your work. So I was able to utilize the skills that he gave me to push myself forward and start putting myself out there to meet clients. So I don't get too much work as in graphic design, but I have had some consistent clients. I've had people recommend me because I was willing to put myself out and offer my services to people, and they liked the work I did and they were willing to recommend me to other people. And actually right now during this call I'm working on something for a client. I The first instance of what I've learned from Doug really coming in handy is when me and Taya would go to these tournaments for a game. I noticed that when they're streaming the game, the layout for the stream was really amateur looking, and it bothered me a lot. So I talked to the people who host the game, who host the tournament, and I asked them if they'd be interested in getting a redesign for their stream layout. And this is something that's important. Make sure that you show people some of your work before they accept your services, because they didn't ask me about anything that I had. They didn't ask me to show them any proof of my capabilities. And I was able to deliver. But in those situations, you have to make sure that people know what to look forward to.
Yeah, we got a
Because
little lucky in that scenario just because we were already friends with them. So in most other cases, people will ask for portfolios, but we were,
I could have
yeah.
I could have made something way worse than what they started with, and that would have been a nightmare. But I'm actually still working with them even today.
Mhm.
They've been consistently satisfied with the things I've produced for them. I've even managed to get some of my designs on a big screen at a really large event, so that's really satisfying.
I'll put the photos up right now because the place that we were working with, they were eventually able to host a video game tournament at the esports arena in Orange County, which is a super big arena specifically for esports. So Michael's work was able to amount to something like that, which is very cool to see.
It's really satisfying to see something you've created
Mhm.
be put out in public and people are consuming it.
Yeah.
I So generally, I've been really satisfied with my ability to create things. I've had people, my family has been willing to support me. They've gotten me clients from friends of theirs, and
Hmm.
it's it's helped me in a lot of ways too. I've improved in terms of self-discipline. I could still use some work, but I have been able to push myself to make things and I've been trying to get better at hitting deadlines, because if you don't have that type of commitment, you're going to lose clients, you're going to lose time,
Hmm.
and you're wasting resources. So it's important that if you do freelance work, you have to have self discipline. And a part of that is routine, which I lack. If you have a proper routine, it's a lot easier to
Hmm.
get things done consistently. So that would be my advice to others, because it's something I need to work on myself.
Yeah.
But because I've missed a couple of deadlines, and that doesn't feel good for anybody.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
more harmful to everyone than it would ever be beneficial.
Yeah, because there are definitely a lot of benefits for working as a freelancer because you work at your own pace, but you got to make sure your own pace is satisfying for your clients too.
If
Uh,
your pace is trash, then
yeah,
that's not really doing anyone any favors.
yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
less experience with the freelance side, so.
You know what? Let's talk about this at another video because like I feel like doing like freelance and job experience and
Yeah,
all those.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a totally different topic, and we could go on with this topic for like forever.
Yeah.
Man. But I feel like what we're trying to give people advice is that there's always opportunity out there. You just have to take it or not, right? Unless if it's like super sketchy, then okay, then just lay off. Like just
Yeah,
just
definitely
move out.
be careful. There are certain opportunities that are labeled as unpaid internships that are legitimately trying to take advantage of you. So use your own intuition from it. But a lot of people usually try to shy away from unpaid internships. So take advantage of it if you can, because especially from the ages of like 16 to 20, it can be really good for developing your skill set on your own.
Yeah, the most important thing out of those type of experiences is developing skills that you can apply. Sometimes you might even gain skills that you might not think are relevant to a situation, but as long as you have skills, they can be applied somewhere.
Yeah. If let's just say if within the like 3 months, if you go for an internship, if they don't teach you anything, just get the hell out. Because there's no point of staying in there if they're not teaching you anything. If they're just making you do all the grunt work, like, okay, can you pick up the trash? Can you clean up, make photocopy? Are you like, what are you doing in there? Right?
Yeah, it's just wasting time.
Yeah, it's just wasting time. It's like those are like basic skills. Like I feel like skill that develop into your career path is totally different from those basic common like service that you have to do, right? So, but Eric, he's another graphic designer that he graduated from Cal State Long Beach, right, Eric?
Yep.
Okay, well you could talk if you need to on your side.
Okay. Back to the point that everyone here was making is that school doesn't replace real life work experience. And I think that's probably the most important thing out of all. You had to choose one or the other. Because once you get your feet wet, you're going to know immediately if this is what you want to do for like the rest of your life. I know for me, it took me a little longer to get my feet wet because I was a psych major at PCC for switching it up. And I'm not sure if this was because like the stars aligned or anything, but the year that I changed my major was the year that they just installed a new art building. So I had access to like all the latest equipment, and I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I had access to all the latest equipment, and all the professors were really cool, but they were more interested in the like theory side of things as opposed to what I would be expected to perform in like a work setting. So although I had the tools to make like logos and to edit photos, once I graduated from Cal State Long Beach, it was completely different. Everyone was looking for like, real life work experiences. They were looking for references. And if you just go in with the bare basics, someone just needs to have like 1 year work experience and you're already at the bottom of the resume list, you know, getting out and saying, oh, I need to like do internships at that time, which schools don't recommend at all. They just want to get you in and get you out.
Yeah, they're just trying to collect your money. Oh,
Right.
what I can say about school is pretty much school help you learn the foundation of your major, but not exactly teach you anything about life experience.
Yeah.
Like none of that at all. Like everything that I learned on my own is pretty much I did not know how to talk to clients. They did not teach me that at all. I had to figure out that myself, and it took me years of learning how to talk to clients, how to deal with them. There's stuff like there's just so many problems in talking to clients and trying to solve their problem. But that's pretty much the general of it. I will talk more about this in a separate video when we talk about like how to deal with like freelancer, how to deal with clients, how to deal with business owner, and that's a big topic that I'm gonna go over. Okay, but in general, for school wise, it's good, and there's also a bad side to it.
Mm-hmm.
That they don't teach you everything that you need to do before you go into the work field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that also kind of relates to like the central point of the video is that like since you are pretty limited on what you can learn from school, it's really important that you also develop your skills on your own during this time when you're trying to figure out like what kind of career path you want to go towards.
Yeah, because we all took kind of separate paths right now, right? Like, say you went to video production, right? And Michael pretty much went to illustration graphic design, right? I'm more of a web design and more graphic, right? And Eric, he's more into graphic. But like getting a job is so much harder than you think.
Oh God, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I would like to say my resume has not gotten me a single job. Every job has been attained through connections, so it's really hard.
Connections are very important. Like I wouldn't have my full-time job if I didn't have connections in there. So.
Yeah, like that's what I could tell you too. If you're going through high school, through college, build as much connection as possible.
Yes.
You go there to build connection. Okay, but after that, after college, you're not gonna make that much connection. It's hard to make connection.
Especially, yeah. Because that's where you're going to be getting a lot of your money's worth, especially if you're doing any kind of like related to like an art major. A lot of what you're getting out of it is the connections you make. Because even if you have a degree in the art field, the cool thing and also the bad thing about the art field is that like your degree matters a lot less than your skill. Your skill is what matters the most. But if you want to stand out, you also need connections to be able to prove yourself in the first place. So
personality too.
Yes.
I want to add that.
Oh, yeah. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like overall, as what we can see right now is like, it took us all month by month to get one job, right?
Yeah.
And to deal with like project on top of project, that's even harder. So you're working with multiple clients. That is like, you're gonna have a lot of busy time. You're not gonna have any chill time.
Yeah.
So your chill time is like 2 hour max.
Yeah, because that's also kind of the cool thing about it, and also bad thing at the same time, is that you get to make your own schedule, but you can also overload yourself if you don't have any limits on it too.
Yeah.
But like even then, with clients and everything, like having a very open personality, that's gonna want to. If people like you, they will help you out. Like if I wasn't friends with the person that I met at PCC, I wouldn't have the job that I have right now. Well, had, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Even like Eric, how long did it take you to find a job, right? How many jobs did you apply for?
Hundreds. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hundreds?
Hundreds. At least 100 at this point. And some have gotten back to me, but it's always like, well, you just barely made it, but someone else came in and just barely edged you out. It's
So either that or you have to build your skill better and communicate better with them, right? I mean, like, that was one of the things that I actually learned is communication, which is very important through anything. Through business, through client, through relationship, all that is communication.
Yes, definitely.
So I would say my top list for anything that you do, anything that you try to pursue is communication. Even connection, you have to build communication.
Yeah.
Because if you want to keep those connections, you have to communicate with them.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, for example, like with my friend, like, if I didn't make any kind of positive impression with him, then when he was at his job and then his boss said, hey, we're looking for more people, do you know anyone? I was able to stand out enough to pop in his head. But if I was like an asshole or something or barely talked to him, I would have never crossed his mind. So get on people's nice side. Don't take it too far and only be their friends just because you want something like that out of them. But in general, just keep a habit of just being a pleasant person. Just don't be an asshole. Don't burn bridges, even if it's someone that you really, really hate, because they could also end up being beneficial to you in the future.
Unless if they're very, very bad.
Oh,
Then
if they're toxic, yeah, then don't. No, 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 no. No amount of jobs will ever fix how toxic they are.
yeah, if it's toxic, salty, just leave them.
Yeah,
No need to.
if the only thing you're gonna get out of this person, or if the only thing you're hoping to get out of this person is job opportunities, don't bother being their friends because you're just using them at that point, and they'll know that. The people will know that.
Yeah, if you're true to your friend, then they will be true to you too.
Yeah.
If they start acting like a phony, just leave them because there's
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
Not being an asshole will give you will it'll get you a really long way.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me see. I don't know, Michael or Eric. I don't know if you guys want to talk about how you guys deal with stuff like during the age of 15 to 20. How you guys deal with that,
Eh,
right?
a
Do
lot
what?
of my high school life. Oh, is it okay if I go?
Oh yeah, go.
Cool. A lot of my high school life was, a lot of my entire life in school was me thinking to myself, I don't want to go to college. And that was the mindset I had throughout my entire life up until when I graduated. A lot of people would be asking me if I was going to college, and I would always tell them that I'm taking a year break. But I never planned on applying anywhere or looking for any kind of colleges because it's just not the path that I wanted to take. It is not, it is a path that's okay for some people, but it was not one that I could see myself taking. So when I graduated from high school, I was without a job for a couple of months, and that was a really huge down point in my life because I wasn't doing anything productive. But then I got a lucky break. My father helped me get a job to work at a grocery store, which helped me learn about some responsibilities. And this was all before I met Doug. I didn't meet Doug until a much later point where I was jobless again and I needed something to do to be productive, to fill my time. And it was a lucky break for me. And generally, my path leading down to that point was a lot of trying to find ways to fill time, trying to find ways to be productive, and looking for jobs was never the easy part in all that.
Job searches are very, very complicated.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I'm actually happy that you guys found me. Like,
Yeah, because that was like pure luck, but it ended up being very good for us.
yeah. I know I have like teaching experience before, and like over the year, a lot of people say I'm like a good teacher, and when I teach people, I know I could like kind of show them the route of
Mhm.
what to do.
Mhm.
But the thing is that I think that's not me. I feel like what I do, what I teach you guys, is I open up door for you guys, not for me.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I kind of do the opposite of what people assume.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I feel like assumption is kind of like it's kind of toxic to some level because if you assume too much, it's kind of become harmful to the other person as well.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
also it means you're also being very narrow-minded. You're not considering any other perspectives.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do the opposite of that. That's why I open up my mind. I let you guys. I teach you guys.
Mhm.
Like I told you guys from the start, I'm like, I don't care. I could teach you guys anything, right?
Mhm.
I could give you all my skill set.
Mhm.
And then I told you that I'm not scared of being some competitor or like teaching you guys. You guys can take all my clients.
Mhm.
I'm like, to me, that doesn't matter.
Mhm.
To me, it's more of what you guys to learn. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Go ahead.
having figures like that can be very like beneficial. Because like to add on what Michael was saying, like when it came to like the like that job search right there, and we got that lucky break with Doug, and we were able to take advantage of something like that. Like we went in there, we met Doug, we went to the building Doug was at for a completely different reason. So even though I was making efforts to try and find a job myself, we were able to get into this lucky position right here. And some people might not always have a Doug in their life. But if you can find any kind of resource to be able to learn from, because we're all going to go through those little kind of shitty periods where we're not feeling very productive, like how Michael didn't have a job for a time, he found Doug. Like I've went through that phase several times actually. But if you keep at it, eventually you will get that little lucky break. Just so long as you have the talent to take advantage of it, you'll be fine. It's kind of a sucky reality when it comes to an art field, but you will find that opportunity eventually.
Yeah. So, going back to Eric,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do, like between that age?
My age?
Yeah, like from 15 to 20. What do you do?
Like,
Like, did you even know your career path at that time? Do you even know what you want to do?
God no, I was too busy being a dumbass at that point.
Oh, I feel.
Because that's how I was too.
Yeah.
What I'm doing in here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the time I graduated, it never really dawned on me what I was supposed to do after.
Mm-hmm.
Since everyone else was going to college, I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to. So I entered PCC, and that's where I picked up psychology because it was mildly interesting. But even then, I was just going back into the rhythm of, let's get this over with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like a year or two down, when I was able to transfer out, and I think I was transferring to Cal State Long Beach at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then they rejected me.
Yeah,
And-
me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I remember I was supposed to be sad, but then I felt this weird, like, wow, if they had accepted me, I would have like been doing this the rest of my life.
Yeah,
And I kind of felt,
exactly.
I kind of felt happy that,
Mm-hmm.
that they kind of rejected me, and I took a year off from then to like reevaluate what I wanted to do, what I could be doing, like if it's gonna be like a lifelong career,
Mm-hmm.
what wasn't like what sucked the least, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I
Exactly.
mentioned, yeah, and I remember in high school I used to love art. I used to love drawing and such, but it never occurred to me that it might be a career. So I just changed my majors to art major, and from there on out, it just seemed organic. Like, oh, this is what I need to do.
Mhm.
This is what I should do. And more time passed, made new friends. Then I transferred to Cal State Long Beach, and it felt a little bit like going back into the rhythm again, because they really don't tell you that you need work experience. Like it's just back to back taking classes, full schedule load, and by the time I graduated, that's when it hit me that ooh, I should have been more proactive about learning my own, learning other things, and then like finding a internship, paid or not.
Yeah, to definitely add on to that experience right there, if during that little experimental phase you're going through, like Eric, he went through 2 different majors. If you feel like you're unsure, it's definitely okay to switch between interests because it's an experimental like time. You don't ever feel like you're committed to the path you're going on to. Like a lot of people even go into college still not even sure about what they want to do, and even if sometimes you might think you know what to do and you're applying to specific colleges, but you might not get into it. I had the exact same experience as Eric, like exactly with Cal State Long Beach too. I tried to get there like out of high school. I mean, my GPA was good and everything, but they told me no, and I was really, really distraught over it because like, okay, now I'm gonna go to PCC and I don't have any tools to do this with. If things don't go your way, that's fine, because I'm also really glad I never went to Cal State Long Beach, because the opportunities I had now from just being at community college are things I would never ever replace. Like I've had job opportunities. Like I wouldn't be working with movie trailers right now if I ever went to Cal State Long Beach right out the get-go. So if things aren't really going your way, you will find a way to make the better of it, so long as you don't give up, obviously. But and like especially like with Eric, like he went to PCC and that also gave him the time to realize, okay, I want to do art, and then there's a later time where he's able to go back to Cal State Long Beach. I never went back to Cal State Long Beach because I already got a job, so my situation was a little different in that regard. But if things aren't going your way, if you keep trying, you will make the best of it. It will suck for the time being, and that's okay. But if you do keep at it, you will make the best of it. Like, because I would not trade the experience I've had now for anything in the world. Like, they're so valuable to me. All the people I've met from the jobs that I've had, like with Doug, or even my part-time job at like this escape room I went to, or even at the place I work at now, would not trade for anything. I'm so glad I didn't get accepted by the universities I wanted to out of high school. So that experimental phase, don't worry if you fuck up a little bit during the experimental phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Go ahead, Eric.
Good.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, back when I was applying for college, I chose PCC specifically because I didn't know what to do,
Mhm.
and I knew that I could change my mind midway if I wanted to do something else. Because PCC is more like a cushion, I guess. Because a lot of people compare like, oh, community college is like community college, not a real college, like a university.
Yeah, there's a bad
So-
stigma around that.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah, but-
listen to it. Don't listen to it.
Yeah. Community college is actually very knowledgeable when it comes to teaching you tools of the trade and such. And some of you may have programs that you can go straight into. You may have to transfer out,
Mhm.
which I might have done, maybe, thinking about it.
Mhm.
But yeah, going to community college sort of bought me that cushion period where I could just play around with a different major, see if I like it or not, and then have some time to reevaluate what I really wanted to do instead of just going straight to a 4 year and then be locked into whatever major.
Yeah, there's a really big commitment with universities.
Oh yeah, especially the price.
Oh god, yeah, especially the price. But no, yeah, especially with community college, you don't even have to focus on your academics. It also gives you time to do other things on the side with community college. So university, most of the time, I'm pretty sure with all public universities, you have to have at least 4 classes a semester, nothing less. Community college, you can do whatever the hell you want, and you get to really manage your time really well. And time's really valuable, especially in this little experimental phase where you want to try to hone your skills. Time's very valuable, and full-time college is going to eat that up a lot, especially if you're especially if you're just doing like GEs that don't relate to your major at all. So community college, time will be your best friend.
I think everyone here spent time in community college, didn't they?
Yeah, I did.
I did not.
Oh.
Yeah, even if you don't go to community college in the first place, it's fine. I mean, the connections I got from community college wasn't even necessarily from the degree I got. It was just from the experiences I had there. I was lucky enough to be able to find a good friend over there, and then he got me a job later. GEs and stuff, kind of a waste of time, but it can be beneficial to a degree. I was at least able to time manage myself more.
Yeah, to some level, I feel like community college is kind of like it's where you explore your pretty much your major,
Yeah.
right? Because what I went through is I explored how many major, like so many major. I went through business, I went through design, I went through architecture, I went to just regular fine art, and then I just keep jumping around until I decided I just want to do everything that deal with design.
Hmm.
So that's why I went into architecture. I took like 3 years of that, switched major to landscape because I want to learn about that.
Mhm.
So after that, I learned 2 years of that. It got to a point where I'm like, I don't want to learn about it because all I talk about is just theory. It's not teaching you anything with design.
Mhm.
So I want to deal with design. So what I did is I continue for like, so I did pretty much 2 years of landscape. To me, it's not a waste of time because it still deal with design, but it's just more of theory. So what I went into graphic design because I want to deal with design, but on the 2D dimensional side now. I deal with 3D for a while, but I feel like I kind of got bored of it. So what led me up to graphic design was I took a class where it was 3-dimensional design, but you have to use 2D design to make it look 3D.
Mm.
So that's what got my interest, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like some kind of illusion.
Mhm.
So that's why I switched over to graphic design, and I think from that point on, that's where I got really good in like a good understanding of the design field. So I went through architecture, landscape, and graphic, and that was like the best year of my life because I just went through all of it, right? So I got a basic understanding of each foundation from each different area. Not everyone's gonna have to go through what I went through, but you just know it wastes a lot of time every time when you do stuff like this.
Mhm.
But at the end of the result, you will learn something very valuable.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
whatever you learn out there, it will come in handy somewhere in your lifetime.
Even if you find something that you don't enjoy doing, okay, now you know what you don't want to do. So you kind of weed everything out. Like when I was doing like general education classes at PCC, I had like this geology class. Hated everything about it, but now I also know, okay, science field isn't always for me. Now I know I really want to commit to this art field and stay as far away from this major as possible. So
Yeah.
any of the classes, like they will be to use to you, like to some degree. It also is good to kind of manage whether or not you want to do something that you don't know if you want to do, but then focus on something you know for sure you want to do. Like the issue I had with time management during this experimental phase I had, like I would have these GE classes I would do, like geology. I'm like, okay, I'm wasting my time. I don't feel like I'm learning anything valuable. Even though there are some things valuable. I mean, I know what peridotite is in geology, I guess. I'm not going to ever use that. But I was also thinking, oh, I could use this time to be working on my like film portfolio or stuff like that. So it's also good to manage your time in that regard too.
I feel like most of the time when you do a major or something that you're into,
Mhm.
you have to have fun in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to enjoy the work,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's like important.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was kind of miserable when I was doing landscape,
Mm-hmm.
I was crying every freaking day, pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
because all I was talking about is theory on top of theory.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna use any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna skip all that. That's why I switched major too.
Mm-hmm.
That was the other reason.
Yeah, your enjoyment of what you're doing is going to be very, very crucial. Like, a lot of people go into majors just for the money. It doesn't always work that well for them because, like, I know a lot of people that tried, like, STEM majors, like, oh, I'm going to do computer science, that's where all the money is at. What's going to happen is that you're going to go into computer science, and then it's a very difficult subject to learn, and if you don't like doing it, you're just going to do the bare minimum because you have no motivation to actually do it. Like, why are you going to put a bunch of time into something that you don't enjoy? Even if your motivation, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money, you're not going to learn it as well, especially if you're not enjoying it. Especially when your competition is people that do enjoy their field. And if they enjoy it, they're going to be taking a lot of their own personal time to hone their skills. Meanwhile, if you're going to school for computer science and you're only doing it for the money, you're only going to be practicing it during your class time. These people that enjoy it will have way more motivation to do it outside of class too. So if you're doing a major just for the money, do that at your own risk because just know your competition is with people that are way more motivated than you are. So finding something you enjoy is going to be very important because especially with STEM majors, that's very, very competitive. Probably just as competitive as art majors, funny enough.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's almost time to end the whole discussion.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Anyone have any closing thoughts or?
Yeah. Closing thought. Any Michael, Eric?
None here.
Yeah, I would say just the main takeaways from this conversation, like the main purpose of it is to just kind of discuss like what we did during like from the age of like 15 to 20 because that's around the age when you are trying to figure things out. Sometimes you know what you want to do, sometimes you need to experiment a little bit. Things might not always go your way, but that's fine. Things will work out so long as you still work at it. Just if you don't know what you want to do, that's fine. Feeling lost is fine. But be very, very proactive with it because it's experimental time. It's okay to fuck up, and if you're eventually you'll find something that you want to do. So take this time to really experiment. Really have that mindset.
If they really don't know what to do, just apply to Dutch College. I will teach you everything that you need to know.
just send them $12,000 a year for tuition. We'll be fine.
And give you all the experience that you need.
You can start by subscribing to this channel.
I know,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Eric's gonna be the first one to apply.
Yeah, if you guys subscribe to the channel, you'll be guaranteed admission into the Doug College. In fact, if you leave a like, you'll also get guaranteed admission to Doug College.
You also have to make 15 payments of $5.99 a month.
All right, well, I think that'll about do it. Thanks for watching, guys.
yeah, I think that's it. All right,
Ciao.
thank you. So let's
Bye
go
bye.
ahead, like. I don't know what else.